Assalamu alaikum class. I hope you all are well. Today is our first lecture of Chem 510 Environmental Chemistry. In this lecture we will discuss about the particulate matter in the atmosphere. Firstly, what are the particulate matter or atmospheric particulate matter? Actually, when any solid or liquid material are dispersed or suspended is in earth atmosphere, or you simply call it as in air, then these are called the particulate matter. So any solid or liquid particles suspended in the air are called the particulate matter. You know the term aerosol. When you study the colloidal solution, then one type of the colloidal solution are the aerosol. Actually, what are the aerosol? The aerosols are also consist of the solid or liquid particles which act as a dispersed phase, and the dispersion medium in the case of aerosol are the gas. So two main types of the aerosol are the liquid aerosol and the solid aerosol, in which the if the liquid is the dispersed phase, then it is called the liquid aerosol, and if the dispersed phase is solid and the dispersion medium is gas, then it is called the solid aerosol. So particulate matter can also be called as aerosols. Actually, these aerosol or the particulate matter can be originated by the natural means, natural resources, or they may be caused by the man-made activities which are called as the anthropogenic activities. Actually, these aerosols and the particulate matter affect our climate and even the precipitation level of our environment, mean how much is the liquid particle in our atmosphere, how they react with other particle, or how much amount of the solid particle in our environment, which may disturb the rain, or you know about the acid rain, and which ultimately affect the human health. There are different size of the particulate matter, which may be a range from 1/2 of the millimeter to the molecular dimension, mean they may be of different sizes of the liquid or the solid droplets which are dispersed in the air or in any gas. So some terms related to these dispersed particles or the particulate matter are described as: one is the aerosol. As we discussed earlier, that the colloidal size atmospheric particles are called the aerosols. Some are called as the condensation aerosol, which are formed by the condensation of vapors or reaction of the gases, mean gases are condensed to form the liquid, or their size is in the form of in the range of the colloidal particles. The next are the dispersion aerosols, formed by the grinding of the solids, mean dispersion mean they are dispersed by any means, by grinding of the solid or atomization of the liquids or dispersion of the dust particle. The one term is this fog, which is related with the high level of water droplets in the environment. Next term is the haze, which is related with the decrease in the visibility due to the presence of the particles or particulate matter in the environment. Next term is the mist, which also contain a high level of the liquid particle. And next is the smoke, which include the particle formed by the incomplete combustion of the fuel. These particulate matter does not effect on the source of the region, but they also affect the polar regions. uh, of our earth, because they can, if they reach to that region, they remain for a very long time at that place, because there is no air or turbulent air, mean moving air, or there is less rain, so they cannot be precipitated out, so and they remain for very long time at that place and cause different problem at that place. So one example is given here as in the Arctic region. The sources of the industrial pollution are related with the Arctic haze, mean it produce a reddish brownish in color haze which persists for the long time at that place, and it is usually in the uh, time of October and to May. It causes the Arctic haze in the Arctic regions. As we know, the particle size of the particulate matter may be different from one another, and mostly their size is less than 100 micrometer, and and the smaller particles, mean if the particle size of these particulate matter is 0.001 to 10 micrometer, they mostly suspended near in the source of their origin, mean जहाँ से ये प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं ये वहीं पे ही रह रहे होंगे, मीन देर अर्बन एटमॉस्फेयर में इंडस्ट्रियल प्लांट्स में प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, हाईवेज पे और पावर प्लांट पे ये अगर प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं तो ये ज़्यादा ट्रैवल नहीं कर रहे, ये यहीं पे ही मौजूद रहेंगे, ठीक है, ये बहुत ज़्यादा दूर एरिया में ट्रैवल नहीं कर सकेंगे। सम पार्टिकल्स हमारे पास क्या होते हैं कि स्मॉल होंगे, कुछ होंगे वो हमारे पास लार्ज हो जाएंगे। वेरी स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स इंक्लूड द कार्बन ब्लैक, सिल्वर आयोडाइड, combustion nuclei, sea salt, and uh, and nuclei, and the larger particles may include the cement dust, wind-blown soil dust, and foundry dust, mean industries dust, and the pulverized coal, mean crushing of the coal produce also the large particles, suspended particles, which are particulate matter. The liquid particulate matter consists of the mist, mean high concentration of the water in that, drops, mean raindrops, fog, and sulfuric acid mist. These particulate matter may be organic or inorganic in nature. Some has biological origin, such as the particulate matter of the viruses, bacteria spore, fungus spore, and pollen grains. Some of the organic materials also contribute to the sulfate aerosol particles. You know, if there is a sulfur or sulfate particles in our atmosphere, they may cause decrease in visuality, or you also know about the acid rain, which is formed by the sulfuric acid in our atmosphere. Some particulate matter are related with the marine biological sources, such as sea salt aerosols. You know, when the evaporation of the water from the seas or ocean surface, they produce some particulate matters, and similarly the sea sprays, mean the air around the seas also contain the salt, high concentration of the salt, and that's why they produce the sea salt aerosols. And they also produce some halogen radicals, and you know, the radicals are highly reactive, and they affect the other hydrological cycle in our atmosphere. mean they also affect the atmospheric sulfur, nitrogen and oxidant level in the atmosphere. If we see the composition of the particular matter, that depend upon their sources, mean how, from where they are originated. So the composition of the aerosol and the particle depend upon their source. The wind-blown mineral dust is made up of, as you know, they're named so that the mineral dust, it is originated from the mineral oxide and other materials from the earth crust. These type of particle absorb the light. The second most important type of the particulate matter is the sea salt. The sea salt contain the sodium chloride, which is originated from the sea surface, and the other component are also dependent on uh, their source, mean the composition of the water, mean which component are more present in that water, so they are uh, depend on their source or composition of the seawater. Thus, it may include the magnesium sulfate, calcium, and magnesium, and some type of the organic particulate matter are also present in the sea surface. There are, there are some primary types of the particulate matter, and some are secondary particles. Primary particles are those which are originated from the any source, and they cause direct effect to the environment. But the secondary particle are those which are formed from the primary particles by any reactions. As you know, if sulfur is present or sulfur oxide are present in the water, they are primary particulates. But when there is oxidation of the sulfur oxide, it may form sulfur trioxide, and if sulfur trioxide react with the water, then it forms the sulfuric acid mist or sulfuric acid particulate in the atmosphere. So the sulfuric acid particulates are called as the secondary particles because they are produced by the primary particles. And the sulfuric acid causes the acid rain in the our atmosphere. So these candy particles mostly prepared by the oxidation of the primary particles or primary gases such as sulfur or nitrogen oxide, which are converted into the sulfuric acid and nitric acid. These precursors are originated by the anthropogenic activities. Mostly they are originated from the anthropogenic activities, mean the burning of the fossil fuel or coal combustion, and some the biological origin are also contribute toward these scanty particles. And you have previously studied that if the ammonia is also present in our atmosphere, they combine with these aerosols to form the salts, mean ammonium salt. If it combine with the sulfate, then it form ammonium sulfate, and if it combine with the nitric acid or nitrate, it form the nitric ammonium nitrate. And if ammonia is not present, then these sulfate and nitrate form the acid, means sulfuric acid, which are also called as liquid aerosol droplets, and the nitric acid, which is the exists in the form of gas, because these are some larger particle due to the presence of nitrate and the sulfate, so they strongly scattered the incoming light from the sun, so they contribute toward the light scattering phenomena in our atmosphere. Some organic matter also contribute toward the particulate matter. They are originated from the oxidation of the volatile organic hydrocarbons. They may be biological in origin or may be anthropogenic in the origin. By human activities which may cause the absorption of the light or the scattering of the light. The organic matter also contain the elemental carbon, which is called as the black carbon, and black color material, has very high light absorbing materials. So the organic matter, either from the biological origin or the anthropogenic origin, and with the black carbon, they are also called as the carbonaceous fraction of the aerosols. Similarly, the byproducts of the combustion of the coals, which are called the tar, so the tar ball are also dangerous to the health. They may cause some fatal condition for the humans, and they also include in the particulate matter. The chemical composition of the aerosol directly affect how interact with the solar radiation. Mean either they absorb the light or either they scatter the light. So in this way, they change the overall refractive index of the environment, because as you know, when the light is enter from one medium to another medium, it may be converted or reflected back or scattered to some angle. So by the scattering or the absorption of the light, the refractive index tell us the how much amount of the particulate matter are present in the environment. So the one main particulate matter is also the smoke, which affect the visual effect, mean in this decrease the visuality of in our environment, and this smoke, as we have studied earlier, may be formed by the sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, mineral dust, and organic matter and elemental carbon. Oh, oh, the consist of these material and some of the organic and elemental carbon, which is also called as the soot. These particles are usually the hygroscopic, mean they absorb the water, and if they absorb water, mean if the sulfur is present, then the sulfur oxide is converted into the sulfate when there is a high humidity and temperature is very less, and which reduce the visibility in our environment, and also give it the yellow color to the environment. And if we see the size of the particulate matter, as you know, in the solution form, we categorize the solution into three forms. Actually, first one are the true solutions, and second one is the coarse suspension, and in between them there are some colloidal particles. Actually, the difference in these three types of the solution is the particle size of the solutes or dispersed phase. In true solution, the particle size is very small, we cannot see them. But in the case of the coarse suspension, the particle size is large, and the colloidal solution have the particle size of the in between these. So there are some coarse particles, and so there are some fine particles, but the particles range between 1 micrometer to 2.5 micrometer, are we can say these are the intermediate particles. And we measure the we set a limit for the particulate matter, which is called as the aerodynamic diameter. So the particulate matter 2.5 is the limit for these intermediate particles, and we use this limit for some measurement purpose. Mean if the particle size of the particulate matter is 10, then we use it is as 10. If the particulate matter is size of the particulate matter is 5, then we use it as 5. So this is the a term used for the measurement. It is called as aerodynamic diameter, PM, and this is the limit for between the coarse particle and the fine particles. The smaller particles which contain these secondary aerosols mean how they are formed by they may be formed by the conversion of the gas to the particle uh, conversion mean gas when converted into these particles, they form as the secondary particles. They are produced by the combustion particles or recondensed organic or metal vapors. These are the small particles, and the larger particles are usually the earth crust material and fugitive dust, which is mean by the volatile, short-lived some dust particles from the roads and industries. The fine fraction means small particles or very less size particles contain the acidity mean hydrogen ion and the some different particulate matter genic activity of the particulate matter mean the particulate matter react with other particle to change themselves. They are consist in the fine particles, fine fractions of these particles. So similarly, some fog particles are also included in it. One a type is the fine particles, which whose size is between the 100 nanometer and 2.5 micrometer. Fine particle are the okay very less. As you know, the size is greater. If the size is greater of the particle, then their mass is also greater. So the larger number of the particle are found in very small sizes, mean the particle which has size less than 100 nanometer, they are more in the amount, mean large particles are present which has very small size. So the small size particles have less mass but their number is more, but in the case of the larger particles they are very less but their size is more. So if we see the relationship of their volume with the mass, it tells us that the ultra fine particles have very few in the mass, मीन जब पार्टिकल का साइज कम हो रहा है तो उसकी mass कम हो रही है, लेकिन ये हमारे पास क्या है, मैक्सिमम कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहे हैं हमारे पास जो पार्टिकुलेट मैटर है उसके अंदर. सो the ultra fine particles contribute to only few percent to the mass, at the same time contributing to the our 90% to the number. मीन जो फाइन पार्टिकल्स हैं, जो स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स हैं, उनकी मैस हमारे पास कम होती है लेकिन उनका नंबर बहुत ज़्यादा है, मीन उनका वॉल्यूम जो है हमारे पास बहुत ज़्यादा है. हमारे पास ये जो पार्टिकुलेट मैटर है इनको स्टडी करना, इनकी एरोडायनामिक प्रॉपर्टीज को स्टडी करना, मीन हाउ दे रिएक्ट इन एयर, हाउ दे बिहेव इन एयर, हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं ताकि हमें ये पता चल सके कि हमारे एटमॉस्फेयर में कौन से पार्टिकल्स ऐड हो रहे हैं, कौन से पार्टिकल्स रिमूव हो रहे हैं और वो कितना हमें इफ़ेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं. मीन हमारे अगर हम ह्यूमन हेल्थ के बारे में देखें तो ये हमारे रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम को कितना इफ़ेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं, और बाकी केमिकल्स कंपोजिशन और सोर्सेज ऑफ पार्टिकल्स को भी ध्यान में रखा जाता है ताकि हम इससे पता चल सके कि इनकी क्या प्रॉपर्टीज़ हैं. हो ये कितना इफेक्ट कर रहे हैं। तो इनके लिए एक मेजरमेंट करने के लिए करेक्टरिस्टिक्स को स्टडी कर किससे किया जाता है, अ यूनिट डेंसिटी स्फीयर विद द सेम एरोडायनामिक करेक्टरिस्टिक, और सिंपली वी कैन से we determine them by the particle size। जिस पार्टिकुलेट का पार्टिकल साइज कम होगा उस उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज कुछ और होंगी, और जो है जिनका पार्टिकुलर साइज जो है ग्रेटर होगा वो उनकी प्रॉपर्टीज कुछ और हो सकती हैं, और उसका इफेक्ट जो है वो डिफरेंट हो सकता है। नेक्स्ट इज रिलेटेड टू द इफेक्ट ऑफ द पार्टिकुलेट मैटर। Firstly, we see the effect on the human health. As you know, the particulate matter mainly affect our lungs, or it create problem for our breathing. So in Europe, long term exposure to the current ambient particulate matter concentration may affect the both lungs of the both children and adults, and also affect their life, and mainly in those pupils which have heart and lungs disease. Mainly they affect the elderly people and the children which have if they also have uh, pre-existing lungs and heart disease, they are more susceptible to these diseases. Fine and coarse particles both affect the respiratory system, and ambient particles are also, ambient mean locally produced particles, are also affect the human health. As you know, the fine particles are more dangerous to the coarse particle, mean as the size of the particle is decreased, it may travel to long distance, and it may cause very large effects, harmful effect to the human, and not from their sizes but their physical, chemical and biological characteristics also influence the human health. Mean if the particular matter is combined with the other air pollutant, their effect will be increased, enhanced. So their effect of the each pollutant is cumulated, mean their effect may be increased. Similarly, some people suffer more from these particulate matter, mean some people are more susceptible to these particulate matter, and if they have pre-existing heart, lung disease, asthma, or socially disadvantaged or poorly educated peoples are more affected. Actually they do not know about what is good for them and what is bad for them. So these people are more acceptable for these particulate matter, and which may cause two different diseases in them. Similarly, the particulate matter are also affect to our vegetation. It actually it clog the stomatal opening of the plant, so it reduced the photosynthesis in them and leads to growth shunting and mortality in the plant species. Now we study how these particulate matter are controlled by different techniques. Actually, in advanced countries, or in which are the industrialized countries, there is a proper management system for the particulate matter, for the dust, or for their disposal. And they does not simply dispose their waste material into the air, into the land, into the water, but firstly they treat them, they remove the harmful substances from those waste, then they can dumped into the air, water, or land. So some of the technique used for the control of these particulate emission are the initial collectors, which are called cyclonic separators. Second one is fabric filter collectors, also called the bag houses. Third one is the wet scrubber, and the fourth one is the electrostatic precipitator. The first one, now we study about the first one. What are the cyclonic separator? They are useful for the removing the large coarse particles, and also used as a pre-cleaner for the most of the efficient collectors. Actually, these are in the cyclone, very high speed air is blown from these cyclones, so the dirty gas or dirty air is clean on in such a way that the particulate matter is settled down by the spinning of the air, and the clean air is removed from these cyclone separators. Next term is the fabric filters. Actually, this consists of the different bags in which the dirty air is circulated in these materials, and the particulate matter attached to the surface of these bags, and the clean air is either recycled or exhausted into the atmosphere. They are used in the general industries. They work by forcing the dust-laden air through the bag-shaped fabric filters, leaving the particulate to the collect to the outer surface of these bag, and allowing the now clean air to pass through the exhaust or to the atmosphere, or sometimes it is recirculated. The common fabric used is the polyester or fiberglass, and the common fabric coating are the Teflon. The excess dust buildup is then cleaned from the bag and removed from the collectors. The third type is the wet scrubbers. Wet scrubbers pass the dirty air through the scrubbing solution, mean the particulate matter are mixed with the solution, which is called as the scrubbing solution, usually a mixture of the water and other components, allowing the particulate to attach to the liquid molecules. So they are attached to the liquid molecule. Sometimes electric field is applied on the whole of the particulate matters, or you can say whole of the dirty air, and uh, the electrostatic precipitator electrically charge the dirty air at it pass through them. The now charged air is then passed by the large electrostatic plates. Actually, when the air particles are the charge, then and they are travel toward the oppositely charged players, so the particulates matter deposit on them, and we can easily remove these particulate matter from this. So the charge air then passed by the large electrostatic plate which attract the large charge particle in the air stream, collecting them and leaving now the clean air to for the exhaust, or it may be recirculated. Beside removing the particulate matter from the source of pollution, it also clean the open air. And the last type is the electrostatic precipitator. Actually, in electrostatic precipitators, we justly charge the particulate matter. In wet scrubber, we charge the whole of the air, so it required large energy as compared to the electrostatic precipitator in which the particulate matter is being charged and being collected on the respective electrodes, so it is a more efficient type of the control medium for these particulate matters. So if the electrostatic precipitator is a filtration device that remove the fine particle like the dust and smoke from flowing gas through this force of an induced electrostatic charge. In contrast to the wet scrubber, which apply energy directly to the flowing fluid medium, in electrostatic precipitator, energy is applied only to the particulate matter being collected, and therefore it is very efficient in the consumption of energy. Electrostatic precipitator can also be used to sample airborne particles, mean airborne particles could remove chemically or aerosol for the analysis purpose. The precipitator design with the liquid counter electrode can be used to sample the biological particles, mean viruses, directly into a small liquid volume to reduce the unnecessarily sample dilution. Mean if we use the liquid counter electrode in the electrostatic pressure, we can analyze, we can separate the viruses or bacteria or from different biological particles very easily. So this was the lecture of the today. Okay, Allah Hafiz.